Hi guys, welcome to Finesse channel. This time we prepared the top 11 best thriller movies, currently streaming in July 2025 on Prime Video, AMC Plus, and Tubi. Not only popular titles, but also some hidden gems included, so that every thriller fan can discover something fresh. We hope this list helps you find your next gripping watch, so let's not waste any time and jump right in. Number 11, Four Hands, directed by Oliver Kienle, is a moody psychological thriller that blends trauma-driven drama with haunting suspense. Rooted in themes of childhood violence and mental fragmentation, the film explores the long shadows cast by grief, memory, and revenge, set within a grim and emotionally charged narrative landscape. The story revolves around two sisters, Jessica and Sophie, who witness their parents' brutal murder. Decades later, just as the killers are released from prison, a tragic accident leaves one sister dead and the other psychologically shattered. But reality begins to blur as the surviving sister experiences visions, disorientation, and the eerie sense that her sibling might still be with her, in more than just memory. Frida Lavisa Hamann and Friederike Becht give intense, layered performances as the emotionally scarred sisters. Their portrayals tap into deep psychological anguish, with Hamann in particular delivering a slow-burn unraveling that keeps viewers guessing. Krzysztof Letkowski provides grounded support as a concerned psychiatrist, navigating the tangled mess of trauma and identity. Anchored by strong performances and thematic depth, the film is an unsettling study of the lingering wounds of violence and the fragile boundaries of the mind. Number 10, A Cure for Wellness, directed by Gore Verbinski, is a haunting psychological thriller that blends gothic horror with satirical commentary on modern wellness culture. The story follows Lockhart, a ruthless young executive sent to a mysterious alpine health spa to retrieve his company's missing CEO. But the idyllic retreat hides something sinister. As Lockhart begins to question the treatments and the eerie calm of its residents, he finds himself trapped, physically and mentally, inside a place that feeds on delusion, secrecy, and something much darker beneath the surface. Dane DeHaan leads with an intense, unraveling performance, capturing Lockhart's shift from smug entitlement to panicked paranoia. He's joined by Jason Isaacs, chillingly charismatic as the spa's head doctor, and Mia Goth, who brings fragile mystery to the role of a girl seemingly untouched by time. Their dynamic builds a sense of slow-burning dread, amplified by cryptic dialogue and unsettling reveals. Visually sumptuous and relentlessly eerie, A Cure for Wellness is less about jump scares and more about psychological decay. With echoes of Shutter Island and The Shining, it's a genre-bending, slow-boiling experience, one that dares to be weird, grotesque, and hypnotically beautiful. Number 9, Catch the Fair One, directed by Josef Kubota Wladika, is a raw and emotionally charged revenge thriller that grounds its brutality in a chilling real-world crisis. At its heart is Kaylee, a former boxer and recovering addict who risks everything to find her missing sister by going undercover into the violent world of sex trafficking. As she navigates a chain of increasingly brutal encounters, the film becomes not just a quest for justice, but a desperate fight for visibility in a system that has long ignored women like her. Kali Rice, a real-life boxer and activist, delivers a fierce and restrained lead performance, radiating both toughness and vulnerability. Her portrayal is quiet but searing, giving the film a bruised authenticity. The supporting cast, led by Daniel Henshall and Kevin Dunn, adds layers of menace and moral decay, each character underscoring the film's grim sense of realism. For viewers seeking a film that marries social commentary with sharp storytelling, this is a deeply affecting and quietly devastating experience. Number 8, Stonehearst Asylum, directed by Brad Anderson, is a gothic psychological thriller that blends Edgar Allan Poe's macabre sensibilities with elegant production and a twist-heavy narrative. Set in 1899, the story follows Edward Newgate, a young Oxford doctor who arrives at the remote Stonehearst Asylum to observe modern psychiatric methods. But things aren't what they seem. As he becomes drawn to the fragile yet captivating patient Eliza Graves, Edward uncovers a disturbing secret. The real staff has been overthrown by the inmates, and the institution is now under the control of the very people it was meant to cure. Jim Sturgis brings a sense of moral confusion and naivete to the role of Edward, while Kate Beckinsale lends grace and pathos to Eliza, a woman traumatized by past abuse. Ben Kingsley and Michael Caine go head-to-head as opposing forces of order and chaos, each commanding their scenes with gravitas and menace. Their performances add a Shakespearean depth to a film already brimming with theatrical flair. It's a slow-burning thriller that leans on character-driven tension and philosophical questions about treatment, control, and what truly defines insanity. Number 7. 7500, directed by Patrick Vollrath, is a tense and minimalist thriller that strips down the hijacking genre to its raw essentials. The story follows Tobias Ellis, a young co-pilot on a flight from Berlin to Paris, whose routine shift turns into a nightmare when terrorists attempt to seize control of the aircraft. Trapped behind a reinforced cockpit door, Tobias must make impossible choices: protect the cockpit or try to save passengers, while managing fear, trauma, and a creeping sense of helplessness that builds with every passing minute. Joseph Gordon-Levitt delivers a restrained yet riveting performance, anchoring the film with subtle emotion and believable panic. With almost no cutaways and real-time pacing, his portrayal emphasizes the crushing isolation and moral weight placed on his character. Omid Memar, as a conflicted young hijacker, brings unexpected nuance to what could have been a one-dimensional role. Unfolding in a tight, confined space with no score and minimal dialogue, 7500 is as much a psychological chamber piece as it is a thriller. It avoids cliché heroics, instead offering a sobering look at fear, control, and survival. Number 6. Horns, directed by Alexandre Aja, is a darkly whimsical supernatural thriller that fuses murder mystery, horror, and offbeat romance into a story that's as emotionally twisted as it is visually surreal. The story centers on Ig Parrish, played by Daniel Radcliffe, who becomes the prime suspect in the brutal murder of his girlfriend, Marin. Shunned by his community and tormented by grief, E.G. wakes up one day to find he's grown horns, literal ones, that compel people to confess their darkest impulses. With his new, terrifying ability, he embarks on a strange and often disturbing journey to uncover the truth behind Marin's death. Radcliffe gives one of his most daring performances, shedding his boy-wizard image for something darker and more emotionally raw. He captures Eeg's pain, anger, and reluctant embrace of his demonic powers with surprising depth. The supporting cast, including Juno Temple as the ethereal Marin and Max Minghella as E.G.'s best friend, adds layers of tragedy and tension, keeping the emotional stakes high. Visually striking and tonally bold, Horns walks a fine line between horror, satire, and gothic romance. It's quirky, sometimes uneven, but undeniably ambitious. With themes of sin, redemption, and identity woven into its supernatural framework, the film offers a genre-bending experience that's as provocative as it is strange. Number 5. Late Night with the Devil, directed by Australian filmmaking duo Cameron and Colin Cairns, is a cleverly constructed horror thriller that merges found-footage style with supernatural terror. Set in the smoky, polyester-glazed world of 1970s television, the film blends satire, possession horror, and psychological tension into one eerie late-night broadcast gone horribly wrong. The story unfolds during a live Halloween episode of a fictional talk show, Night Owls with Jack Delroy, hosted by the charismatic yet fading Jack Delroy. Hoping to revive his dwindling ratings, Jack invites a medium, a parapsychologist, and a teenage survivor of a satanic cult onto the show. But as the cameras roll, things spiral into chaos. Supernatural events begin to unfold live on air, revealing a darkness that even Jack didn't bargain for. David Dastmalchian delivers a career-best performance as Jack Delroy, effortlessly capturing the charm, desperation, and crumbling facade of a man caught between ambition and guilt. His performance grounds the film, while the supporting cast, including Ingrid Torelli as the disturbingly calm teenage guest, elevates the tension with eerie authenticity. Smart, spooky, and refreshingly original, Late Night with the Devil is both a love letter to retro TV and a sharp supernatural thriller. For fans of films like Ghostwatch, Pontypool, or The Taking of Deborah Logan, this is a must-watch slice of vintage horror done right. Number 4. Night Train to Lisbon. Night Train to Lisbon, directed by Bill August, is a philosophical mystery drama that blends historical intrigue with personal awakening. The story follows Raymond Gregorius, a quiet Swiss professor of classical languages, whose mundane life is disrupted when he prevents a woman from jumping off a bridge. After she vanishes, he finds a book written by a Portuguese doctor and resistance fighter named Amadeu de Prado. Obsessed with the doctor's poetic reflections and moral questions, Raymond impulsively boards a train to Lisbon to uncover the man's story, and in the process, rediscover his own. Jeremy Irons leads the film with a thoughtful and introspective performance, portraying a man whose intellectual curiosity transforms into something deeply emotional. The supporting cast, featuring Melanie Laurent, Jack Huston, Bruno Ganz, Charlotte Rampling, and Lena Olin, brings depth to the past and present timelines, revealing the complexities of love, betrayal, and courage during Portugal's Salazar dictatorship. Poetic, melancholic, and richly layered, Night Train to Lisbon is a film for viewers who appreciate introspective storytelling over fast-paced action. Number 3. The Mustache. Directed by Emmanuel Carrère, is a quietly disturbing psychological drama that morphs into an existential thriller. The film begins with Mark, a seemingly content middle-aged architect who one day shaves off the moustache he's worn for years. But instead of reacting, his wife, friends, and colleagues insist he never had a moustache to begin with. Confused and increasingly paranoid, Mark begins to question not only the people around him but his own sanity, as his reality starts to fracture in subtle, disorienting ways. Vincent Lindon delivers a masterful performance as Mark, portraying a man gradually sliding into existential panic with quiet desperation and vulnerability. Emmanuelle Devos is equally compelling as his wife, whose calm insistence that nothing has changed adds a chilling layer of psychological tension. Their dynamic becomes the emotional core of a narrative that questions the very nature of truth. For viewers who appreciate cerebral, Kafkaesque thrillers like The Double or Enemy, The Mustache is a haunting, thought-provoking experience. It's not a traditional mystery. It's a quietly devastating exploration of what happens when reality refuses to agree with you. Number 2. Stir of Echoes, directed by David Koepp, is a chilling and character-driven supernatural thriller that blends psychological unraveling with ghost story tension. The film follows Tom Witzke, a working-class father in Chicago, who begins experiencing terrifying visions after being hypnotized at a neighborhood party. What begins as flickers of a missing girl soon turns into a relentless flood of images, voices, and spectral warnings. As Tom's grip on reality frays, his quest to uncover the truth transforms into a desperate hunt for justice, and possibly redemption. Kevin Bacon delivers one of his most intense performances as Tom, capturing the slow descent from skepticism to obsession with nuance and raw energy. His portrayal of a man haunted not just by ghosts but by his own doubts adds emotional depth to the suspense. Catherine Erb and Ileana Douglas offer strong support, grounding the film in family stakes and emotional realism. It's a slow-burn ghost story that favors mood, mystery, and psychological depth over cheap scares. For fans of atmospheric thrillers with a human core, Stir of Echoes is an underrated gem. Thought-provoking, eerie, and gripping, fusing survivalist suspense with a powerful exploration of post-war trauma. Known for its stripped-down intensity, the film takes a character-driven approach that questions authority, alienation, and what happens when society turns its back on its own soldiers. The film follows John Rambo, a decorated Vietnam War veteran, drifting through small-town America. When he's mistreated and arrested by a local sheriff, a brutal flashback triggers his combat instincts. Escaping into the wilderness, Rambo becomes the target of a manhunt, using guerrilla tactics to outwit an entire police force, turning the hunter into the hunted in a deadly spiral of misunderstanding and repressed violence. Sylvester Stallone delivers a quietly devastating performance as Rambo, capturing the character's inner pain with minimal dialogue and raw physicality. Unlike the invincible action icon he would later become, this Rambo is wounded and vulnerable, fighting not for glory, but for dignity and survival. Brian Dennehy adds nuance as the overreaching Sheriff Teasel, while Richard Crenna brings gravity as Rambo's former commander, the only man who truly understands him. Visually rugged and emotionally restrained, First Blood avoids bombast in favor of slow-building tension and thematic weight. It's a survival thriller rooted in real psychological scars, elevating the genre beyond bullets and explosions.